I'm Dr. George Flynn. Welcome to In-Depth TV, where today we're going to talk about encouragement. And I'm talking about encouragement that you give or receive. Which is it for you? Now, we'll talk about giving encouragement first, but I believe you're going to receive some encouragement later on. So stay tuned for the entire program, and I think you're going to get a lot out of this. Encouraging. A lot of us want to be encouraged. A lot of us need that encouragement on a daily basis, and yet we don't want to give it out. We don't want to give out the encouragement that other people need. So how do we do this? How do we keep juggling and keep everything up in the air? Well, it's really not a big trick or a big problem if you kind of break it down into the basic, just the basics. And that's all you need. There are no real tricks to this. It's the basics. And once you understand the basics, then I think you're going to be one of these encouraging individuals that gets a lot of encouragement also. How do you talk to people when you're trying to encourage them? Well, we've talked about it before, but I'm going to give you a little summary of the way to talk to people. You've got to talk to them in their language for them to hear what you're saying. And no, I'm talking about the English language, but what I'm talking about is the visual, auditory, or kinesthetic language. We can find a lot of people are visual, and a lot of people are auditory, and a lot of people are kinesthetic. Now, you're all three, but there's one that you are mainly led to, either visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. You can tell by the language people use which one they are. And the question is, which one are you? Because you're always using that language, at least the majority of the time. So if you're a visual person and you're talking to an auditory person, they're not hearing what you're saying because of the words that you use. A visual person will say, I can see what you mean, or it looks good to me, see and looks, visual. An auditory person could say, well, I hear what you're saying and it sounds right to me. They hear and it sounds. That's auditory. Kinesthetic person would say, feels good to me. I'll sleep on it and see how I feel about it in the morning. They usually talk about their feelings about it. Feels bad to me, feels good. They talk about what they're feeling. So which are you? And you probably know which one you are, but which are you? Because you're talking that language and you need to be listening to the other person to find out how to communicate with them. Well, I'm talking about encouragement. So when you have a thought, I'm saying act on it immediately. If you have a thought, that person needs a little, pumping up, pat on the back, a little bit of encouragement. Go ahead and act on it. Write a note, a postcard, keep a stack of postcards and just write a quick postcard, or send an email, send a text, make a phone call, see somebody in person. If you have a thought, act on it then, because that's when they need the encouragement. So we're talking about how do we talk to them, how do we talk to people, and how do we encourage them if they start talking in visual, auditory, or kinesthetic language. Well, to talk to them in that same language, or write your email or your post, and you can pretty much think through the people that you know, and you can tell which they are. You've probably never thought of it that way, but you can tell which one they are. So remember, if you have a thought to encourage someone or you think they need some encouragement, Go ahead, do it now. Don't put it off. And they may say, well, what are you talking about? I don't need any encouragement. So just thought you might. And then let it go. But if they say, oh, I am so glad you said something, I've been hoping someone would say something, then also say, I'm glad we met, or glad we talked about it, glad you got the note, and then let it go unless they want to talk more about it. So there we've got it. You say, well, is that all it takes? Well, there's some other things you can do. You can, when you're introducing someone, you can say, this is, make up a name, John Jones. And John does this for this corporation, does this, and does this kind of outreach, and he does all kind of things for the public good. And what you're doing is introducing John Jones, or whoever it is, to another person, but you're praising John Jones in front of other people. People love to be praised in front of other people, and that is one of the most encouraging things that you can do. So from now on, when you introduce someone, introduce them not only by their name, but a little bit of encouraging praise for that person that you're introducing. Now you can send a gift to encourage someone, like flowers or, some kind of small gift. Or actually, one thing that works really well is a letter. So few people get letters anymore. They get emails, they get texts, sometimes they get phone calls, they get Facebook messages, they get Instagram, LinkedIn messaging, all of these different electronic methods. Very few people get a handwritten letter or a note or a postcard anymore. So if you want to stand out, you want to really encourage somebody, send them a written note and in your handwriting. And hopefully people can read your handwriting. Well, when you see somebody that is having a problem, we often go up to them and we say, how can I help? Well, the person is in a problem and they can't really think how you can help them. So another way to say this is, I would like to bring you over dinner tomorrow or tonight. I would like to do a certain thing. Then you've already defined what you want to do, and they can say yes or no. Or you can also say, would it be helpful if I brought over dinner tonight? And they can say, yeah, as a matter of fact, it would be. Whereas if you say, how can I help? They're not going to know how to respond. The other person is not going to know, the person you're trying to encourage. But if you say, would it be helpful if I did so-and-so for you, then that's encouraging. Let them know. I want you to let them know that you'll be thinking about them. You'll be thinking about them. You can be praying for them. And you can say, I'll be helping you in any way I can. But you're going to say, I'll be thinking about you and praying for you. Now, and also when you say that, say, and I'm going to check back in with you in 2 or 3 days, and do it. I'm going to check back in with you and just see how you're doing and see if anything's come up where I can help you in any way. So then you've already made an appointment to check back in with them. They know you're going to be thinking about them. So that is extremely encouraging to someone that is down, a little bit discouraged, and needs some help. Now, the other thing is when you check back with them, if the situation's gotten better, celebrate the victories with them. Also, be ready to commiserate if the situation has not gotten better or is actually gotten some worse. Now, when you're praising them, when you're helping people build up their confidence, when you're encouraging them, be sure and keep in mind several other things. You're going to say, you did a great job, and call them by name. You, John Jones, did a great job at doing what? Now you be sure and come in, not just a great job, at doing something. Give them a specific thing that they did that you thought was so good. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate how you did that, how you handled that matter. It was just something very encouraging to me to watch you do that. And make sure you say when they did it. Come up with, yesterday morning when you did that, you did this. Be specific about where they were and where they were when they did it and where they were when they did it. When you were on the 6th floor, up in the sales department, you did so-and-so, and it changed the mood for everybody for the entire day. Now, when people make changes, positive changes, affirm the changes. I like the way you did so-and-so, and you're to be commended for going above and beyond and doing a certain thing. Commend them. Commend them 5 times or 8 times more than you do say, I don't like the way you did that. Commend them, and they will gravitate toward doing more of the positive things and less of the negative things. And lastly, tell people how their actions, all of these good things that they've done, how they have encouraged you. That is extremely important. Now, I know you're here, and I know you've been hearing how to encourage others. And you say, well, what if I don't know their languages? What if I don't know how, if they're visual, auditory, or kinesthetic? Use them all. Because I can see that you really want to help other people. I can see it by your being here. And I can hear it because you're listening. You're listening to this, and you are getting it. I've got this feeling that you're feeling it too, the feeling like you really want to help people. And you found that you can see your way to do it. You can hear it. You can hear it in your head that you really want to do this, and you can just feel the good feelings that you're going to have when you do this. And now what I've done is I've been sincere about it. Number 1, be sincere. Number 2, just use all the languages. I used the visual. I said, I can see what you're doing. I used the auditory. I can hear that you really want to do it. And I used the kinesthetic, saying that I know you feel like you'll feel so much better if you do this. And it's the truth. You will feel better because you will have heard the other person and you will have seen them actually change the expression on their face when you encourage them. I'm using these to show you can use them all. You can use them all to encourage other people. And with that, you will be encouraged because you've been such a great assistance to other people in the world. I'm Dr. George Flynn. You've been watching In-Depth TV. You've been listening to my voice, and I know you've been feeling good about it. I'll see you next time.